Hi you guys, it's Karina. So I am back with another video tutorial today, and it's just going to be an overview refresher on my template one. It's been many years since I have made a tutorial on this dahlia using my template one. So I figured, you know what, we need a refresher for sure. So this one right here already has a video tutorial on my YouTube channel here. This is just a 3-petal dahlia. So you can find it here on my YouTube channel. I'll have it linked underneath this, under the description here under this video, so that way you can refer to that one and how you make this one, because this is using 3 different petals and the medium base. But today we're gonna do the 2-layer petal right here, or I should say 2 petals, but it is 4 layers. Using 2 petals to make this dahlia right here, and then we're going to be making this dahlia as well, which is just a 1 petal. Okay, just to give you a little bit of a variety with different petals with template 1. Now with template 1, I mean, roughly you could be making roughly around 21 inch dahlias. This template is a very large template. It's like, don't let this fool you. I mean, these right here are pretty massive. So she can definitely get a lot bigger. So I haven't even used the largest petals here for this one, or the largest base. So definitely, if you want to make larger dahlias, you would just follow the same technique that I'm about to show you for the 2-petal dahlia and the 1-petal dahlia. All right, you guys, so let me show you what template 1 looks like. So this is what template 1 looks like. So as you can see, these are pretty large petals. This is one of the original petals that I created many years ago. So she's definitely, if you want to make flowers roughly in the 18-20 inches, what I typically was aiming for when I created this template back in the day. But if you do want something smaller, because again, this is a larger template, there is template 48 that I created a few years ago, which is the smaller version of this template. Just in case you're looking for something smaller, then there is that template available for you. So with this template 1, you're gonna get 7 petals, and then you also will be receiving 3 different base circles. So the bases mostly are for the dahlia flowers. Now, with template 1, this is one of the flower styles that you can make, but there are other flower styles that I do have available here on my YouTube channel that you could also be making with this template. I am also going to be making the tutorial for my Trolls rainbow flower. If you're a follower of mine, then you probably have an idea which flower I am talking about. I don't know why it's taken me this long to make that video tutorial for that Trolls rainbow flower, because it's always highly requested. So I am going to be making that video tutorial as well with that, with this template too. So it'll be it won't be a dahlia, it'll be something else. I would say that maybe it does look like a dahlia, but it's just assembled definitely different. Okay, so stay tuned if you want to watch that video tutorial. It'll be out sometime probably in a week, because I am heading out on vacation to Mexico with my husband at the end of November. So I will be out. So probably sometime in the beginning of December. Hopefully I can have that video tutorial out for you guys, along with some Christmas tutorials that I have planned. You know, life's just been very busy with 4 kids. They take my time. They take all the time away from me to do some crafting. But today I have some time, so I figured, you know what, let's make this video tutorial for you guys. Now, again, I am not going to do this video tutorial for you guys with the 3 petals, just because there is already a video tutorial for her. But I am going to tell you which petals I did use. So if you want to make this 3-layer, I used the medium base circle. I used the smallest petal, the 2nd petal. I omitted the 3rd one, and I did the 4th petal. Okay, so 4th petal, 2nd petal, and 1st petal for this flower right here. Now, let me measure it for you, because she is pretty big. She's roughly around 16 and a half inches. And granted, those are just the first smallest petals and the medium base. So again, if you want something larger, we have the larger base, and we have the larger petals that you would just follow the same technique to make larger dahlias, okay? Now, for today, we are gonna be making the 2-petal dahlia, which is this one right here, one of my favorites. So if you're curious how big she is roughly around 12 inches, and she is using the smaller base provided and the first 2 smallest petals. Now, I am going to tell you roughly how many petals you're going to need, but with dahlias, that goes for any of my dahlias because I do have other dahlia templates. It's all going to depend on how you prep or how you roll the petals, and the spacing will determine how many petals you're going to use. Not always do I use exactly the same. So if you tend to use more or less than what I did, please do not get stressed out. Well, I didn't use the same amount as she did. No, I don't always use the same amount because again, it all depends on how I roll the petals and lay them out. That will determine how many petals I get to use. But to give you a little baseline, we're going to look at this first layer in the back. So I did 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So I did do 12 petals for the first layer. And typically for the first and the second layer, I do the same amount. So for the second layer, I also did 12. And then for the third layer, I did 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, and that's all using that second petal. So you do quite need a lot. And then for the little one, this can also vary. Sometimes I've done 3, sometimes I've done 4, sometimes I've done 5. It all depends how many I can squeeze in there. So for this one, I did do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, so 7 little ones. So roughly, I'm gonna cut roughly around the same amount. And then we'll see if I ended up using more or less. So let me go get my petals and I'll be right back. Now, I do want to show you how I trace these. Now, typically, for larger petals like these, I do tend to trace and cut. Personal preference. But she is available also in SVG in case you feel like hand cut, or not hand cutting, and just have your Cricut machine or Silhouette cut it out for you. Now, I'm not, for this one, when I do the smaller dahlia, which is this one right here, this one was using the smaller base. I'm definitely going to use my Cricut machine to cut these out because it is quite a lot of them. Okay, but for this one, I am going to be hand tracing and cutting, and I did just want to show you how I do it. Okay, so I'm going to start off with the second petal. And then I'm just going to grab my pencil. Now, I am using 65-pound cardstock. It is a shimmery cardstock, and it is from, well, you can pretty much, I've seen it at Walmart. Typically, that's where I get it. Target. I know I've seen it at Hobby Lobby. It is from the brand Astro Brights, I want to say, or Nina. I don't know if it's Astro, well, Nina is part of Astro Brights. But it's a shimmer. I don't know if you can see it. This is like one of their champagne colors. It comes in a pack with 4 colors, 2 silvers, a white, which is this one right here, and then this champagne color. You can't really tell the difference, honestly, but there is a difference. But I wanted something kind of in the Christmassy colors. That's why I went with these, because I wanted a nice little shimmer. So as you can see, I am able to fit 6 petals on this 8.5 by 11. So this is why I prefer to hand trace and cut instead of using a cutting machine, because if I were to upload this on my Cricut and have it cut for me, I could only cut 6 petals at a time. Whereas with cardstock and cardstock, but I mean like with hand cutting, I can layer 4 sheets, grab me a pair of scissors that are meant to cut through thick cardstock or cardboard. And then that way I am able to cut out 4 at the same time instead of one. And there you go. So I was able to cut out 4 petals instead of 1 with the cutting machine. Again, if that's what you like, go for it. I personally, I need to do it quick, so I don't have the patience to wait for my cutting machine to get it done. So let me show you quickly how you're going to get these prepped. Let me move that out of the way. You are going to need wooden dowels, and I do recommend having at hand different size wooden dowels. Okay, typically the thicker wooden dowels are the ones that I use to help me curl. Okay, the smaller ones are the ones that I use to help me glue, because when it comes to dahlias, and the more you're putting in, the hole's gonna get tighter, and it's really hard for you to stick your finger in there. So a dowel is your best friend with this. Okay, so now you're going to need a glue gun. I am going to be using my Surebonder Mini Detail. That's my go-to for more on the smaller side petals instead of the larger ones. Now we are going to make a cone. Now with this particular dahlia, I don't like it to be too thin. Okay, I kind of like it more on the wider side. Preference of mine. But I just personally like this to be more wider. And this is what we want. So let me show you again. Give it a nice little roll. I just do this just to help me kind of roll the petal. And then just do like a slight little roll on the bottom and secure. Okay, that's what you're going to do. As for the small ones, it's going to be the same thing, where you're just going to roll them and then glue them. Okay, same thing. I would just use a slightly smaller wooden dowel. And wooden dowels, you guys, you can find these at any craft store. Definitely Michael's, definitely Hobby Lobby, Walmart, even Target. Sometimes they even sell little packs that have different sizes of wooden dowels, and that would be my recommendation to you, so that way you have different sizes. Okay, because you know, obviously your smaller petals, you're gonna want more of the smaller dowels compared to like the thicker ones. Okay, so this is what we're just gonna do. We are gonna prep our petals. So let me go ahead and get them all prepped, and then I will be right back. All right, you guys, so I do have my petals all prepped over here. I may need more, but I just started off with a couple. So here is the smaller base. So you're gonna go ahead and get a petal. I'm gonna give it a slight pinch on the bottom just to flatten it a bit. And then your goal here is just to go around in a circle. Make sure that your spacing is not too far out. You just want to make sure that when we put the next petal, that it's gonna go in between. Okay, now you can definitely use text weight paper as well with this particular style flower for dahlias, just because it won't make this style flower, it won't let the petals droop. When you use text weight, like with larger flowers, at some point it will eventually, the petals will start to droop with dahlias, though I find that it does not. So this is what we're going to do, you guys. We're just going to go around in a circle, and that's pretty much it. So let me finish this up and I'll be right back. Okay, you guys, so here is my first layer. So I ended up using 13. I probably could have squeezed one over here because I do feel like I have a little bit more spacing, but you know what, I'm not even gonna stress about it because eventually that first layer is gonna get covered up anyway. So you're not gonna see that. So now what we're gonna do is you're gonna grab your petal. So your goal here is just to start going in between the petals. Okay, but your goal here is just to go around in the circle. So if you ended up using less than the first layer, that is okay, because again, it all depends how these petals are curled. Perfect example, let me show you this one. I might have to end up fixing this one, but notice how this one's a lot more wider than this one, because again, it depends how you end up rolling it. That will determine how, you know, some are wider and some are thinner. That is just, obviously it's going to mess with your spacing. Okay, but this is all we're going to do now. Again, this is still that same petal. We're just squeezing the bottom and then just adding some glue to that tip. And this is where a wooden dowel does come in handy to kind of give it a squeeze. And yeah, so this is it for the second layer. So let me go ahead and finish this second layer. And then I will be right back with the third layer. Okay, you guys, we are on to the third layer. We're still with the same petal. And this time we're going to start going, oh, and I did end up using 13 as well, like that first layer. Okay, so I just went in between that first layer of petals. So I was able to fit 13 perfectly. So now we're going to go ahead. So I like to start in between petals, but this time they're not going to line up, you guys. The third layer always ends up using less. So then your goal here is just to go around in a circle and just pretty much go around in a circle. So I think the last one I told you I used 7, I think. So let's see how many petals I end up using. And as you can see, I am using a wooden dowel to help me. I think that's it. Yeah. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7. So I ended up using 7 for that third layer. So now we are on to our last layer, and this is going to be your little cutie, which, oh, here she is. So let me go ahead and grab those petals. Okay, you guys, so we are on to our little cuties. So here they are. Now I am going to grab my smallest little wooden dowel. It's actually a skewer, actually. You know, the ones you use for cooking kebabs. So that's what I'm going to be using because it's super duper thin. So I am going to go ahead and same way, you're going to give it a little pinch on the bottom. Add your glue. And then stick your petals. So goal here too is just kind of like go around in the circle and then fill in the gap. You see, this is where I say a dowel comes in handy, because it is kind of hard to stick your finger in there. And again, if you want to make other sizes, larger ones, if you want to do a 2-petal dahlia, but with the larger ones, just follow the same technique, you guys. All right, so I have 4. I'm going to try to squeeze one between these 2 right here. Let me squeeze it in first. There we go. Now stick that. I think I'm gonna need one more after this one, I think. Or maybe not, actually. No, I think we are done. I could squeeze another one, I think, in here, but I'm gonna let it be. All right, so I was gonna let it be, but I know that's gonna bug me because I see a small little gap in the center. So yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and cover that. Maybe 2. I don't know if you can see, but like right here in between these 2 right here, I see that little gap. So I am going to try and squeeze this petal in there. There we go. That makes me better. Yep. And there you go. All right, let me zoom out a bit. There you go. Isn't she pretty? So that is how you make the 12-inch dahlia, you guys, using the first 2 smallest petals, okay, and the smallest base. Now, I am going to do separately the smaller dahlia, just because I do want to show you what the SVG looks like, because I am going to be using my Cricut design space to cut those smaller petals. But just, again, remember that you do have other larger petals, you guys. So if you want to do a 2-petal, another 2-petal dahlia, but maybe you want it larger, you have the larger options along with the larger base, okay? So, again, just follow the same techniques with any of the video tutorials that I'm showing you here with the dahlias, okay? So I hope you found that helpful. The template can be found on my Etsy, so it is SVG and PDF. So you do get both in case, like me, I decided to hand trace and hand cut this one, but when it comes to the little cutie, I am going to be using my cutting machine because that's a lot of petals. All right. So stay tuned for the next video tutorial on how to make this little cutie.